Hi, I'm Whittaker. Today I'm here to discuss the golf swing of Luke Donald. Luke's had a very successful last 12 months, really shot up the world rankings. He did excellent last year on the US Tour, came second in the end of season FedEx Cup to Jim Furyk, and has just won the match play event over in Phoenix. Now, what we'll be doing is we're having a look at the areas of his swing where that really is providing with some consistency, but also looking at the areas where he lacks power and he also loses out for length and strike with the irons. Okay, first of all, you'll see I've drawn a yellow line here down his left hip. Now, what you'll notice is with this line down the left hip is that on the backswing he very much makes a sway load off this, so he turns massively over the right side and in the process loses the angle that he's created in the right leg here. So he's got this angle in the right thigh, and we see that the right thigh moves across in this direction and the weight has gone over the outside of the right foot. We will also see that Luke's head moves slightly over to the right, so this is quite an old school type action of turning over the right side as opposed to turning into the right side that you see on many of the modern players like Manacero, Hunter Mahan, Anthony Kim and the like. Now, the issues that we tend to see associated with turning over the right side like this is that it requires a lot of lateral motion to get through the golf shot. Okay, and when we see with Luke here, we see that he very much gets over the left side here, but in the transition from the top, we tend to see the arms move a bit more out, away from the body, and then move in quite late. Okay, and they move in as Luke's head goes backwards here in the transition. Now he gets over the front foot, now the head goes back, the arms move in, the weight goes up onto his toe quite a lot, and he hits it very much with the hands and arms. So this is quite an old school way of swinging it, where he's basically rolling over the right side, driving back, hanging back with the head, and then allowing the club to recock a lot here on the way through and gets quite narrow. This isn't the kind of throw out that we'd see in the very modern golf swings out there. You know, if we actually have a look at this next to, say, Mahan or Manacero through the golf ball, we'll use Manacero first of all. We'll see a much more stable golf swing here where he hasn't rocked over it. He gets over the left side, and then as he's unwinding through, we see a lot more extension here. And if we just slide Manacero across the screen a touch, we see how much wider the club head is here, as opposed to Luke is very much recocking it and creating this L that's been prevalent in the older swings in the past, where it was seen as creating this recocking of the club on the way through to release it and gets very active in the hands. Comparable to Mahan here, who's got a lot more a stable golf swing and a deep right hip turn, and also he gets more over the front side with a lot more rotation. Therefore the club is releasing more naturally with physics as opposed to him using the hands like Luke does, and he therefore has to slow down the core to allow the hands to recock. We see the difference at this point in the golf swing between the right arm's relationship to the golf shaft and Luke's right arm relationship to the golf shaft. So Luke's actively using the hands to cross over to square the face and release it, whereas Mahan's allowing the physics to do it, and therefore the butt moves around and the left wrist recups as the face releases, whereas with Luke's it's very much more the head backing out, the legs driving forwards, and the hands doing all of the move through. We see it here, how then arms come through, and then he gets through to his finishing position. Well, I'll look at a couple of swings from down the line now. And we'll see on this one here from the Ryder Cup at Celtic Manor, okay, We see the evidence here of that slight sway load. Okay, he does great with keeping the club. This one-piece move, though, this is sensational in terms of the body turning. The club head stays outside the hands, and this is a very much a one-piece modern takeaway. So he's got some modern fundamentals included in his kind of older release. So this is very good. So this means it's going to be very, very consistent in his first move away from the ball, because the club is essentially following the body, even though it is a sway load move. Club then sets, and if anything, he just tends to track on a little bit with the arms at the top. And again, classic of him being slightly more old school would be the left arm is slightly steeper than the shoulder plane right here, and the right arm is away from the body. When we have a look at it again with someone like Mayhem, we'll see here with Hunter how much lower the right elbow is and how much more the left arm and the shoulder plane match one another, with the right elbow being much tighter in here. So this is just a more rotational action from Mayhem, whereas Luke's is more of a move over, even though his first move was absolutely fantastic in keeping it in one piece. From this top of the backswing, we can see that the foot's the weight's over the outside of the right foot rather than into the right foot. So we see this big leg drive, which then shallows the arms coming from the inside. The elbow's now coming into the side of the body, into a pretty good delivery position with the arms in front. But because he's driven and not started to unwind much using any core, what he then does is we see he starts to move up from the feet. So the feet, this right foot gets up in the air very quickly, and the right elbow extends away from the body a lot. And we see this active hand rotation and manipulation of the face right here. Okay, and we can see that the club is already recocking, and the butt of the club right in here is looking straight back at the camera. So this is telling us that he's using a lot of hand manipulation to square the face. Okay, now if you slow the core down and push up from the ground with the feet and use the hands, you're going to lose yourself some power, because you're not hitting the club with everything together in sync. So it's going to be a little bit like you'd see Federer with a forehand. He's letting everything meet the ball together, or even a boxer throwing a punch. Their whole body's moving through, and the arm and the hand are all moving through together. Whereas what Luke's doing here is he's stalling the body and using the hands more actively. We see this again here with the same view here of Mayhem that we just used, and we'll see that release that Mayhem's employing here, how the butt of the club looking more back at his body as he's releasing the club through. So we can see that the club's moving more around with his body rotation as opposed to stalling and backing out that Luke's doing. Okay, we'd also see that Luke's upper body is more leaning back towards the camera in this kind of manner, whereas Hunter's is moving more around like so. Okay, so as he's moving around, this is going to be more reliable than Luke's is going to do, but also going to allow him to create more speed. But we can see where the hands are moving, how very different it is all looking, because we can see that Luke's is very much towing the club down in order to try and release it. When we bring this swing of him in here from the Masters earlier in the year, from John Doherty's footage called Lake on the forums, okay, we'd see a very good one-piece move, a little bit closed halfway back, okay, but again, even from this view, we see this left arm steep of the shoulder plane. Now, see that he's aiming out to right towards the right bunker, so he's going to be obviously drawing this one into the 16th grain, but we see how he moves up, and a very active hand manipulation through the golf ball here. We compare that with Manacero, which is from the exact same angle, and we'd see here how different the two releases are. Okay, the butt of the club's disappeared on Monacero, whereas on Luke it's coming straight back at us. So Luke's we're seeing the butt of the club, whereas Matteo's butt of the club has completely disappeared. We see that his right foot's more grounded and is rolling over with quieter feet, whereas Luke's got more active feet, which are associated with the hands releasing and the club head backing out. Because when the feet go forwards and drive a lot with the legs, the upper body will go backwards and upwards in